Welcome to the Align Your Stars podcast. I'm your host, astrologer, transformation life coach, and energy healer, Lumi Palenko. Today on this podcast, I'm going to be introducing to you this woman, this extraordinary woman, Donika Veseli, also known as Donika. You could say that she is a true modern day Renaissance woman. She was born in vibrant Brooklyn to immigrant parents that are from Kosovo and Montenegro. Nika's journey as a New York City native led her to Marymount Manhattan College, and she earned a bachelor's degree in business and administration with media and arts management focus, along with an associate degree in music. Her classically trained voice and musical prowess became the foundation of her artistic endeavors. Nika's life has been a stage, from theater to choirs to fronting a touring entertainment band. Her acting credits also include appearances on popular shows like Power, Law and Order SVU, Jessica Jones, John Wick, Manifest, Madam Secretary, Crashing, Sneaky Peek, Homeland, Elementary, Billions, and among others, cementing her status in the entertainment world. Nika's talents extend far beyond the screen and stage, however. She blazed the trail as the first Albanian-American female to share cover songs on YouTube and social media. Behind the scenes, she honed her craft, ghostwriting for Grammy-affiliated producers and singers, learning from industry titans. In her music career, Nika isn't just a singer. She's a producer, songwriter, and recording artist with tracks on major platforms. Beyond entertainment, Nika possesses remarkable spiritual gifts. Her empathic and channeling abilities have led to hundreds of energy healing sessions and tarot readings. As a Reiki Master Certified practitioner, she uses her meditation and energy healing to conquer her own battles of depression, PTSD, and anxiety. Her big three is a Virgo Sun, Capricorn Rising, and Libra Moon. You could definitely say that her Capricorn Rising has led her to an incredible venture where she's experienced lots of opportunities to persevere through. And we're definitely going to be taking a deep dive into exploring her story. Join us as we delve into the captivating journey of Donika Veseli, a true artist, healer, and entrepreneur making a profound impact across multiple domains. Now, before we invite her into the room, I want to introduce to you this card reading. It is called The Secret Language of Light, this deck. It is the most beautiful. I think all decks are beautiful. You probably heard me by now. I use the word beautiful quite a bit. But I feel like all tarot decks, oracle decks, they all have their own beauty and magnetism. And if you decide to ever pursue this for yourself as a healing tool or a meditation tool for your own betterment, I would definitely recommend drawing one card a day just to see how your day goes, just by drawing that card and listening to its message. When you connect to tarot, when you connect to oracle readings, it's in no way affiliated with evil or witchcraft or anything where it's like going to confine you to the reality of its message. It's meant to help you awaken your own sense of self-conscious awareness. It's mostly misinterpreted whenever we are working with tarot readings, when we're working with oracle cards, astrology, all of those things. It's there's a lot of misconceptions about it. And I love to debunk that, because astrology and tarot, mediumship, spirituality of any sorts, it's just meant to help you become much more still, much more self-aware as to the repercussions of any decisions that you decide to make in your life journey. That's the thing that you have to just focus back into the present moment and modify your thinking patterns, modify your emotions, modify all the sensory experiences in your body in reflection to your actions with the environment around you. And that's how I like to emphasize a lot. And that's how I usually talk to my clients from time to time, because they usually look to me whenever they are in the moments of their life, when they're in the eye of the storm, really lost into their life, lost into the traumas of their experiences, past experiences or current experiences, where they're experiencing or going through toxic abuse or self-inflicted or self-imposed toxic abuse. The thing about astrology and spirituality and all of those modalities, It's meant to help you disconnect from that and gain a better viewpoint of your situation, and therefore help you navigate out of those situations with conscious awareness in order to invite more of the peace and balance in your life. So just with that said, I want to draw a card for us all today and to see what message comes through in regards to where we are right now in this moment, and as well as how you are going to be receiving this message is through your own discernment. Take it as a general reading. It may be connected to what you are going through currently in your life situation, and listen to its message and just see how it comes and let it reflect. Okay. So we are going to be drawing this card, The Secret Language of Light. And we're going to see what the message comes through with our highest and greatest good for anything that we are going through in our life. Let's see what the card has to say in regards to where we can find the remedy to the situation. All right, we got the card called Remembrance. Look at this beautiful card and focus in on its image. There's something very peaceful about the colors that was used in this imagery of a card. You see how it's like all blue on the bottom? This has to do with memory and information, past information. Whereas red right here is about action. And in this card, it's the left side. And on the right side, it's pink. Pink is receptivity. Red is about assertion. Now the above, there's a mixture of pink over here and a little bit of teal bloom in the center, pink and purple. So pink has to do with love, inviting this sense of acceptance for whatever past pitfalls you've experienced or setbacks that you've experienced. Remembrance means that you're given this time and moment in your journey where you probably feel that you regret something from the past. The remembrance that is meant to come through with the meaning of this card, it's an indicator that yes, you can look back into the past as a way to help you realize that it's experiences, and as well as lessons, not lessons where you pass or fail. It's more along the lines of lessons for you to ascend and shape yourself into a better version of yourself. Remembrance also is an indicator that you are going to go back to the beginning of life, reflect back into those moments in your life where you were the most pure self, pure expression. Usually it's, before the age of 7. Before the age of 7 was the time in our lives where we were our most pure soul self. And in reflection to astrology, if ever you want to go back in terms of connecting to who you were before, when all of the external environment or external issues shaped to how you perceive the world around you now in this moment, for any conflict that you're experiencing in your life, look to your moon sign. Look to your moon sign, because that is the purest expression of your soul, and as well as the remembrance of what you brought forward into this life. The moon sign in our birth charts has to do with the past, but it's also the area in our lives where we find that safety net and purity, where we can connect back to that state of pureness and acceptance. So remembrance, the message for you with remembrance is an indicator that you don't need this current situation to shape you to what you believe will be confined to your future reality. It's meant to help you repurpose to this present moment and start shaping your future decisions based on the lessons that you've learned. So remembrance, the message for you is to know that you are not confined by the past. You are not confined by an old reality. The time is now, in this present moment, where you could shape your life to a better and desired outcome. It's through your own will, and as well as your connection to your own soul, connection to your soul self. And that's how energy works. Energy and power of the mind, power of the body, power of the cells. Reflect your body and how it feels. That's why I love talking about chakras, because chakras, it's not something where you have to like levitate in the air, do yoga all day to understand chakras. Chakras are representation of the wheels of life, representation of the spine, which is the structure and stability of our lives. It's our self-worth. Whereas the sacral has to do with our intimacy realms, creativity, gestation, creation, of all those kind of things, where we are seeking out inspiration for us to connect with life around us for a much more deeper level. And I'm just giving you a little crash course in chakras, so forgive me. But crash course in chakras 100. Okay, so that's the root and sacral. The solar plexus has to do with the assertion. It's yellow. Red, the red is the root chakra. So I mentioned that in this card. That's red, that's assertion. Gold is power, assertion. That's the solar plexus. Orange has to do with the sacral chakra. That is the creativity realm. And those are the first three: the root, sacral, and solar. Then we move on to the heart. The heart is up here on this card. It's amazing how this all connects. And the creator of this deck is incredible just by that reason. It's just the information flows through you when you work with these cards. Now, the green is the heart. It's love. It's self-acceptance. It's this feeling of magnetizing your unconditional view in life. And it's also the way what we could seek out the healing, because the heart is the center of it all. And therefore, there is an intelligence in the heart that goes beyond the brain. The brain is a part of it, but the brain sometimes brings forward a little bit of this linear judgment, this constricted view of what's right and what's wrong. There's duality, and that's not bad. It's okay to see the duality of things, but the heart merges those two principles together and helps you seek out an understanding, an unconditional view. Whereas we move up to the throat. The throat has to do with communication. It's right down here. Communication, ideas, creative inspiration, how we generate empowerment in the voice, how we express with crystal clear clarity and meaning behind our messages. And it's also the way we access information through the higher realms. It's by clairaudience or ideas, or like just the flash of inspiration and insight that you receive from here and here, the ears and the throat. That's connected. And if you notice that whenever you have a cold or something, or if you're sick, have you noticed that when your throat hurts, your ears hurt as well? Because the meaning behind that is whenever we are sick, primarily in the throat area, that means there's a backlog of information that's being unexpressed. And therefore, it takes time to like shake it out and realize what you need to say. So in order to navigate best through that, it's by you centering yourself in the present moment and listening intently to the messages around you. It's through non-judgment. Even if though you don't make sense of the word that you are receiving at the moment, write it down. That's what I usually tell my clients. I tell them to write it down, put it aside. It might make sense later, because our higher self speaks through us through these chakra systems. So with the throat chakra, this is the area where we get most impacted when it comes to us being restricted from our gifts. The gifts that come through, the messages, making sense of the information you are receiving. So when you're not nurturing this part, especially, usually it leads to confusion, distortion, and therefore you feel very rooted in your situation. I used to get a lot of bronchitis. I used to get a lot of sinus infections. I used to get bronchitis like constantly. That was when I was in a toxic work environment in 2013, about 10 years ago. It's amazing I'm talking about this now. It's the anniversary decade. I was in an environment when I was a hairstylist where I wasn't free to speak up. I wasn't free to say no. I kept saying yes, just for the need to validate my own self-worth based on what I was building in the salon. I was in a really, it was a very toxic environment where, not to knock or anything these days, I made peace with that part of my life, but very gossipy, toxic femininity, toxic masculinity, where you had to prove yourself based on how much you earned, how many clients you generated, how talented you are, bad mouthing each other's work behind their backs. It was the worst environment for me, worst situation that I found myself in. And it led me to this whole path of bronchitis, asthma, walking pneumonia. I just kept ignoring the cues of my throat chakra. And whenever that happened, I kept getting sick and my whole body shut down at one point. And then the health issues that happened, it led me to where I needed to go. So depending on where you are now in your life, how you are feeling in the body, whatever you are feeling in terms of restriction of the voice. I guess we're meant to talk about the throat chakra today because I feel like I'm emphasizing that a lot in this session. The throat chakra, again, it's all about the power of speaking your truth. What does that mean? Speaking your truth. Well, it's about actually walking the walk and talking the talk. More walking, less talking. It's about observing your life, observing the messages that you are speaking and as well as receiving. Are you speaking more than listening, or are you listening more than speaking? It's about really integrating those two principles together. And then that leads you to feeling more balanced in your life in terms of your message. So that's the throat chakra for you. In terms of the base of the card, this remembrance, reflect back into the ideas that you once had. Do you feel regret that you haven't fulfilled those parts of your life? Do you feel regret that you haven't spoken up when the opportunity was in front of you to stand up for yourself? Don't hold back. And as well as don't hold resentment for that reason. Don't hold resentment for that past missed opportunity. It just wasn't the right time. That's remembrance for you. Honor that part of you, and it shaped you to who you are today. And therefore, for any future decisions that you make, for whatever step you're going to take in your path, just know that as long as you have free will, understand that we have free will in our life situation. Of course, we have experiences that are inevitable. There are moments in our life where things happen, but it all depends on the times in between that you decide with the decisions that you make, or how you deal with the conflict in between. Now, when you move up to the third eye chakra, it's the vision. It's the purple right here, the indigo. Indigo, third eye chakra has to do with the visions that you have, your manifestation ability. What is manifestation? It's the most misconstrued word. And I've noticed this a lot with my clients, and even for myself, when I started doing manifestation work, I thought that I just had to believe it and see it and not do anything. You need to have a crystal clear vision as to what you want in your future. Through clear intention and thought and pureness of intent, pureness of your power and belief, then you have clear paths to get to where you need to go. Whereas when you are trying to jumble up a lot of ideas into one, it's the same thing with everything. Like when you're trying to do everything at the same time, nothing's going to get done. That's the way manifestation works. Manifestation works where you are really focusing in on your clearest intent. What do you truly want in the now? What would be your dream reality or dream goal fulfilled if you had it tomorrow? And then through the crystal clear vision of the third eye chakra, you'll have all the steps that you need to take to get there. That's how your spirit works. Spirit works by revealing to you the necessary steps to get you to point A to point B. It's not through just thinking it out into the universe, and then the universe is just like, here you go. Where's just my command? The universe wants you to work through it. your soul wants to work through this dense experience, the 3D experiences to get to point A to point B. That's the fun of it. Even though it doesn't feel fun for us now, it's fun for our soul to experience because we evolve in those moments. That's the third eye chakra. Whereas the crown, it's the connection to it all. It's purple or white. It's like a whitish purple kind of hue, like pearl, like a pearlescent hue. It's like the coloring over here. It's like surrounding. It's like almost like fog or vapor, or it's energy. The crown chakra is about opening your eyes and opening your mind to incredible experiences, becoming more open-minded to try new things. The crown chakra is also about the receptivity of the messages of what you want to receive in your life. It's the gateway for you to clearly connect with your soul self. When you establish a direct line with your soul, we're always connected to our soul. However, when our crown chakra is closed or blocked or imbalanced, if you will, that leads you to, a short line. Like you don't have a lot of clarity and intention of the information that you want to receive in terms of changing your life. So it's more like, the word, open your mind to the possibilities. That's where you receive information in regards to what could be for you. So if you want to receive more inspiration, if you are in a stagnant moment in your journey, the crown chakra, when it's open or an optimal kind of movement, that's where you invite more of this imagery in your life, and as well as a direct line of understanding what could be better in your life. So that's the crown chakra. The crown chakra is the direct line to your soul self. And when you establish that direct link to your soul, that's what leads to incredible opportunities. You feel more alive in your body. Because when you are stuck in the body, bound by this purgatorial hell that you're in, that's usually when we're looping into our experiences that we feel like we're falling into a horrible pattern, relationships, self-beliefs, career, life, relationships with other people, like loving relationships. Like I keep emphasizing that a lot because most of my clients have issues with their relationships. And I usually do a lot of love readings, but I also do self-empowerment readings because I feel like in order to be fully fulfilled and happy in a relationship, you have to be whole and happy within yourself. It's a known fact. All the professionals say that out there. But even energetically, as souls, we are a part of each other, but we're not each other in a way, because we have a specific spark of the creator, the spark of the universe, spark of the source, if you will. We're unique. We're a unique color, we're a unique thread in the cosmic tapestry. I like to call it that. So honor that part of you and know wherever you are in your journey, just honor what you have shaped so far. And if you're not happy with what's happening right now, you can have the power to access this ability of instilling peace, empowerment, and certainty in your life by your own self-awareness and self-acceptance. And then it leads you to better decisions in your life. That's the consensus. And that is the message of remembrance. I am so curious about what we're going to talk about with Donika today. Donika, I love her name. It's so beautiful. We're going to talk so much about her, and I'm very excited. And I thank you for listening to this podcast so far and watching. And thank you for holding space for me to explain what the chakras mean, as well as the meaning of the remembrance card. Oh, and I forgot to mention, remembrance has the number 11. So look at that. No coincidence. It's an angel number. Angel number 11. 11 is the number of your spiritual alarm clock sounding off. It's time to wake up and step into this new paradigm that you want to create for yourself by your own free will. And we will invite Donika in the room right now, and stay tuned. Okay, so I have Donika Veseli right now. Thank you so much for joining me today on the Align Stars podcast. How are you today?
Good. Thank you for having me.
Oh my gosh. I mean, I love your your background, your history, all the experiences that you've gone through. My goodness, if you already know about your big three, you are a true embodiment of the Capricorn ascendant story, where you're going through lots of different experiences up and down everywhere, but you climb and you persevere. So many themes in your life, and you craft something so masterfully and create something really incredible in the end. So if anybody in this room, and as well as the audience who has never heard of you or listened to your music, I'm just giving a little spoiler right now. Would you like to introduce yourself and where you're going so far? For everyone listening, watching Align Your Stars, can you tell about yourself and how you got to this point in your life's work?
Oh, that's such a big question. So basically right now, I'll start with what I do, because people that are watching this or listening to this probably, who don't know who I am. I mainly am a singer and a songwriter right now. But I also do a bunch of other stuff. So I actually do a little bit of acting. I actually have a business. I have a picnic business. So I have like a luxury picnic business. That's something new that I started this year.
Mm-hmm.
Um, I have had lots of experience, like, in entertainment in general. Like I've worked in like the background, I've worked in the forefront, I've worked with people that were like Grammy affiliated. So I've been around the music business for years.
Mm-hmm.
But recently, it wasn't until recently that I decided to like teach myself to produce, and I actually put out 2 songs myself from my home studio, which I'm in right now. And yeah, that's like, I basically tried to release my own music, and now I'm starting to do that. And I don't really have like a huge goal of like, okay, I want to be the next Rihanna, right? Or like, I'm
Mm-hmm.
31. I've been through a lot till now, and I'm also super spiritual. So the other thing that I do is I actually do readings for people, but I do that kind of like on the side. It's not something that I promote. I don't like, when I introduce myself, I'm not like, hi, I'm Donika the psychic. I'm
Mm-hmm.
Nika the artist. But it is something that I've been gifted with since I was a kid. It's something that helped me get through my depression, my anxiety, learning about, chakra balancing and
Mm-hmm.
energy healing. I used it on myself. I used it on my husband. I used it on my family members, my friends. I try to help everyone around me as much as possible. And then one of my friends basically was like, why don't you just post it on your story and see if anybody out there would want like a reading? And obviously that's very nerve-wracking. Like you probably know, doing the work that you do. Like,
Coming out and as an Albanian saying, I do spirit stuff, I do psychic stuff, tarot readings. They're like, who are you? And they
yeah,
do like all the Fajan, like coffee readings. I'm like, it's such a
they're
paradox.
like, they have all these crazy notions, right? But
Yeah,
I was born Muslim, but like,
same here.
religion, any Albanian in any religion, I mean, I think that it's always been looked down upon for some reason. And
Yeah.
people see it as like, oh, you're a witch, oh, that's bad, oh, that's not good, it's just ridiculous. But I don't consider myself a witch, just to throw that out there. I don't do spells, I don't do any of that. Not that to each their own. If people want to do that, that's great, but it's not something I really believe in.
Mm-hmm.
um I just always had this gift where, number one, I saw spirit since I was young. I never understood how to interpret it. I never knew like how to connect with it. It actually scared me when I was a kid. So like I used to run to my mom and be like, "Mom, I'm seeing people." And she'd be like, "You're just having nightmares." Like she always, like, now that I'm an adult, we've had these conversations, and it's different because she's like, "I knew that there was something special about you, but obviously I wasn't going to tell you that when you were like 5 years old because you're a child and I
Mm-hmm.
scare you." But my whole family, my siblings, everyone knows that I always like had this little thing, whatever it was. I didn't get into it until, like, I would say in high school. I think me and my friends were like walking past like it was like a spiritual store, like where they sold like crystals and stuff. And I was always on to like those things. I don't know why. Like, and I didn't grow up around it. It's not like my parents were like doing this stuff, or like people I knew, or like not even my friends, honestly. But
Mm-hmm.
it's just like the universe would always put me in a place where I would meet like a psychic, or like I would meet somebody gifted, or like, and I've had conversations like this with people, and they're like there's people that have come to me for readings, and they're like, I've never done a reading in my life, and they're like 50, you know?
Mm-hmm.
And I'm like, wow, I'm like, I guess it's not normal for people to like go to psychics, like, or like to, or it's not like, what I mean?
Yeah,
Like,
I
it's
know.
not that it's not normal, but I mean, like, that's
It's
not the
not as
word.
common. It's not as
Right,
common
right.
to
It's not
do.
as
Yeah, it's under
like,
it's like under the rug, you know.
and I didn't realize that it's not even just like seeking psychics, because like, okay, you look for one that's different, but like
Mm-hmm.
people have never like felt drawn to like, you know, even getting like a palm reading or like going into a store and like, you know, buying a crystal or like, and it's just like, it made me think like, wow, you know, I'm like, there's a lot of people out there who aren't drawn to this stuff. So I'm like, it does make me feel more special and more like, you know, I'm like, wow, I guess there is something different about me, because why was I
Mhm.
always attracted to this? Or why was the universe always bringing me these like opportunities where I could like learn more about my gifts?
Yeah.
So from a young age, you know, I started like going to different, you know, I had went to a couple of psychics a bunch of times, but it was always like, it wasn't something I was seeking. It was like somebody would tell me like, oh, you're into that? Oh, I know this woman like I went to, she was amazing, you should make an appointment with her. It was always something like that, like a referral or
Mm-hmm.
something like you need to meet this person. So I think I've been to like a few in my lifetime, but every time I went, they would all say the same thing. They're like, you're going to be doing the work I'm doing. Like I had this,
Mm-hmm.
she's like, when you're my age, I think I was like maybe 20 when I went to her. She's like, when you're my age, she's like, you're going to be doing this, what I'm doing. And she told me, you know, she was actually connecting with spirits. And I was like, I don't know if I'm going to be doing that. Like, and here I am now, like maybe 6, 7 years after I saw that woman, and I'm like channeling, which is crazy. Like the channeling,
Mm-hmm.
it really started recently. Like I knew that I had it, but I didn't understand it, because you know when people say they channel or they see spirits, they, you know, in my head or anyone, they would think like, oh, you see a spirit in front
It's
of
like a
you.
hologram, but it's more like
Yeah.
the inner eye. Yeah, I know. It's very
Right.
misinterpreted
Yeah.
usually. It's more like a projector, like a projected
Right.
screen.
So the
Yeah.
way I mean, listen, it manifests different for different people. So like maybe some people see it in dreams. Maybe some people do see it like in front of them. Maybe some people
Could
also
be.
get, some people even like, you know, it goes inside, like the spirit will enter them and actually have messages, you know, which is crazy.
Yes, that's
Um,
very intense work. I could tell you that. Like the practitioner who does that, that's very exhausting. Think about
yeah.
it. Because your
So,
body's being like, it's like heightened the frequency or even lowered the frequency of the body. Like whenever they do walk-in kind of readings. I understand what you're talking about. But yeah, I
and
can definitely relate. Yeah, go on.
I've been to
It's
somebody who
okay.
did, it was terrifying. Um,
But that's
uh,
amazing. Yes, Donika, I'm sorry.
no, it's okay. It's okay. I feel like there might be like a little bit of a delay, so I don't want to talk over you. I'm going to give you like I'm going to like give a second before you
No,
answer.
no, it's okay. Yeah, you're all good. But as far as like your yes, go on, Nika.
No, I talk so fast, so like sometimes I don't realize that I'm like,
No, you're fine. I love it so far. But as far as like your moments in your journey, like to where you are right now, like with your music career, do you
yes,
feel like the messaging of your music is being channeled from a different source?
absolutely. So that's, you know, sorry, I got really into the spiritual stuff, but what I was getting to was that
Yes.
basically um now where I am at, because I've gone through, you know, the phases of like I want to be a famous singer. I went through the phase of like I just want to do something in music because I just love it all. So, you know, I started pushing myself to do other things. And then I went through, you know, a spiritual awakening. And then I'm like, you know, when you go through a spiritual awakening and then you're also like a person living in real plane, real time, you know, you're not, you know, we're spiritual, but we're still human beings, right? So it becomes confusing. And I went through a period where I was like, what is my purpose? Like, is my purpose to
Mm-hmm.
be a singer or is my purpose to heal people? You know?
Mm-hmm.
And I realized, like, why do I have to choose between the two? I could be doing both at the same time. I could be
Yes,
using,
you can.
so the two songs I have out, yeah, they're not, I might not have gotten like a crazy, you know, I'm not like a famous, I wouldn't consider myself famous. I mean, there's people in our community, in the Albanian community who know me. I mean, I just released a song with DJ Jack, so that really helped me connect with the Albanians. Um, and he reached out, he wanted me to do a song with him. And I was like, why not? I've never done an Albanian song. Like it was awesome. But my personal music that I write, the two songs I have out right now, they're very controversial type of songs. Like my first song I put out, Superiority Complex, it's, you know, it's about like humanity and it's about how like
Mm,
people have this superiority complex. Like where I really believe that humans have this feeling of like I'm better than somebody, right? Like no matter where they are, they could be at a totally different level than someone else, but they still feel like they're above someone or they're above something, or because they, you know, choose to, you know, live a certain lifestyle that makes them better than someone or whatever the case may be. So I go through different instances in the song, in the lyrics. You can, you know, you'll, if you listen to it, It's like kind of like all these different storylines going on.
Mm-hmm.
And then the music video I also directed and produced myself, and it also has like another hidden message like that ties into the idea of the song. So all my music, like, and then my second song that I put out, Chant for Those with Scars, that's actually a song that I had written when I was living with my parents. I was younger. I had written the chorus, and it was like a way for me to cope, because I went through a lot. In my childhood, I had like a very abusive father,
Mm-hmm.
you know, and stuff like that. So going through that, and not only abusive, but he was very controlling.
Yeah.
So we were very sheltered. And I felt like I always wanted to escape. So my way of escaping was writing songs, writing poetry, writing was a big thing for me. I would even write, like, I have journals and journals. Like I would write like anything, my feelings, if I was angry, if I was upset, if I had a great day, like anything. And
Mm-hmm.
I wrote like these lyrics, and later on I went back to my parents' house like years after I moved out, and I went to go get all these shoe boxes with all my journals, and I found this song, and I was like, oh my god, I want to make this something, like, but I don't want to make it negative, because when I had written it, I was going through something where I just felt like it was more of like a revenge song.
You
Right?
channeled all the revenge into paper.
Yeah, it was like,
Yeah.
oh, hate you, I hate that I'm in this place, like it wasn't a good energy. So I'm like, how can I flip this now, where I am now, and like make it a positive thing? So I kind of switched around like the idea of the song, and then I added more, you know, lyrics to it, and then I produced it, and it turned into a chant for those with scars. So like basically when people sing it, especially the chorus, it's a chant, and I want people who have gone through, you know, similar things that I went through, or just any struggle, to be able to identify with it, and to feel like, you know, when they sing it, they feel better. So that was my whole idea with that song.
Wow, you're like
So
the true Chiron Mercury conjunction person. I'm telling you. I don't know if you know your chart at all.
no, I would
And
love to know more. Like I
oh
know
my gosh.
astrology, but I'm not like, I don't know a lot about like the planets, and like, you know, I know some things,
Yeah.
but I would love to know more about my chart, because I've never done a chart for myself, believe.
Oh my gosh, that's amazing. Yeah, we'll definitely have a deep dive into it. But like during this with our discussion, like I see how your experiences have really shaped you into really projecting all those intensities into some productivity. It's shown in the birth chart as you were talking. I see like Mercury has to do with your messages, how you generate ideas, the basically from where you receive from the higher self. Mercury is the messenger in between. So
Wow.
your Mercury's in Leo, needs to be seen, needs to be heard, needs to be received by others. Whereas the conjunction, which means it's in the like similar degree, Chiron's right next to it. So Chiron has to do with wounds. You
Mm.
said shape of scars, or I'm so sorry.
And a chant for those with scars. It has a very long
Chant
name.
for those with scars. You are literally a Chiron Mercury person as we speak. Your Chiron's also in Leo. And
Wow.
also another thing with the connection, Chiron has to do with the wounds that we experience, but also the way we channel those wounds into healing balm for other people. So the messages that you generate from the higher self into the writing, into the music, or whatever it is that you decide to do, it creates like really strong impact for people in the day-to-day life, because as it connects down into, because everything in your planets with Chiron, Mercury, the sun, and Jupiter, your sun in Virgo, Jupiter in Virgo, they're all compact in the eighth house. The eighth house has to do with your inner self, also the shadows of society, the shadows and the unseen natures of life. So you definitely saw all the nuances of death, and like it's just like basically like all the corners of what people can't see, you see. So to add part of the story with your writing, with your music, Chiron and Mercury, it's like in a supportive placement aspect that's called a sextile with Mars. Mars also has, it's like it's sharp. So it's very interesting. Like it's sharp, but it's also about your drive, your motivation, how you get to point A to point B. You are very much on this path of really understanding how to basically bridge down the unseen and bring it to the fore for daily the daily people to hear and to see and to receive, because the sixth house to do with the daily rituals, the daily life. So you're doing the right, I mean, you're definitely on the right path. I could definitely tell you that. And there's just something very eloquent and powerful, yet it's like punchy, your information, but it's inspirational too. And I commonly see this with people with very strong fire in their chart, which you do. You have a lot of earth and fire. You're a builder. You are somebody who is meant to hold space for other people to be comfortable, to be understood. But you give them that whole pathway of revealing all the necessary steps for them to feel received, for one, but also to feel empowered to keep going in their direction too. I love that.
That's exactly like, even like when I give readings to people, that's exactly how I feel like things are structured too. Like even in like when I take it literally the way like you describe that, and like how I give people guidance too, it's exactly in that way. And when people come to me for readings, they say that the reviews are always very similar in the sense, like I feel like I had a therapy session, like reading someone's future and telling them this is going to happen, right? Because I also believe in free will. So I do believe that there are things that are written, but there's also free will. So like things could change at any given moment, especially big events. So when I give people that power, because most people go to, you know, they're scared to go to psychics because they're like, oh no, like I don't want it to be written in stone and then like it happens, or they think that because they were told it's going to happen, it happened, or, you know, some ridiculous thing like that. So I always give them that reassurance that like whatever you decide is going to shape what your future is going to be like.
I'm so happy you're saying this. I swear I'm like doing an up and down. I'm like dancing inside right now because you said free will. You said shape your life. I said this before, like in our introduction, like it's just like a repeat. And I love that you said that to reaffirm, because I really do believe in that as well. Like, because when you see an intuitive, when you see an astrologer, it's more like the filter of your experience for one, but it's in the moment now that you could decide what you can do with this information. So I love it. Keep going. Just say more. You're feeding me. You're keeping me so stimulated. I love it.
And really deep, but like I believe that everything we do, we manifest. So, you know, I mean, look at humanity. Like I was talking to my brother the other day about it. I'm like, we wouldn't have buildings and structures and technology unless someone thought of it first. There's just no way that everything comes from a thought. You know, like it's not spiritual at all. It's just like, it's just in plain sight. Like, how can you not see that like things have to be thought out? Somebody had to think of it. It had to be figured out. How are we going to do this? Right? Like I have this big idea. How am I going to do it? Here's the map to do it. And then let's try it and see what happens. And oh my God, it worked out. And now you have a skyscraper or whatever, you know, like it's insane. Like, so how come people don't feel that way about their lives? Like, if you could plan like to physically make something or to create something physically, why do people like struggle? Even me, like even I struggle with it. It's just like a human nature. Like, why do we struggle so much to like believe that we could just think something and that it will come to us, or that it will make itself, you know? So that's another big thing that I believe in.
Yeah, because we're so enwrapped by the drama of life. But our souls, like basically like our soul and our guides are like, they're not laughing per se, but they're just like, my God, they're so dramatic, like soap operas every minute of our life. Like that's how it feels. It's like a big thunderbolt in the background whenever we're experiencing something catastrophic, where it's just like you broke a heel or whatever it is. It's very incredible how we just need to learn how to discern our mentality of the situations that we're in, learn how to disconnect from that, find the stillness in the moment, and therefore you attract the clarity in your life experience, and you know what to do next. It's by the peace and serenity that you find in those chaotic moments, in the eye of the storm, so to speak. So I love that you said that as well. And I would love to know, like, could you share a pivotal moment in your life or experience that's greatly shaped to who you are today?
Wow, there's a lot. I mean, not a lot. I have 100 different pivotal moments, but there's like a few that have happened in my life. I also am strange. I am 31, but I feel like I have lived many lives. And I don't
embrace the strangeness. Please lay it out all on the table. I love it. Keep going.
I feel like a lot of people feel that way, but I don't know. I just feel like I am like wise beyond my years for some reason. And like,
Yeah.
and it could be because I've been here many times, you know, but
Mhm.
I just feel like I've even just in this life, I feel like I have gone from like plane to plane to plane to plane. Like I feel like I've just lived. It's like I woke up and I was in a different world, you know? Um,
Mhm.
some of them were bad pivotal moments, but they did shape my life. And then some of them were good. Um, the first one that I could possibly remember, like regarding my music career, was I was about 16 years old. I was waitressing at a restaurant, at an Indian restaurant. It was my first job ever. And I was in high school. I never knew at that time I loved to sing. I was in choir, I was doing like musicals and stuff like that in school. But other than like school music stuff, I didn't do anything outside of school. Um, and I definitely didn't know any producers, never had been in a studio before, never had recorded anything.
Mhm.
So of course, like I was manifesting that for myself because that's what I wanted. I loved it. That was my passion. And one day this, you know, this, it wasn't just one day actually, this guy who was there, he used to come all the time. He used to sit at the bar and used to get, you know, have a drink. Like he used to come like every Tuesday, right? He was like this old man, very nice guy. His name was Joe, if he ever hears this. So I knew him for like a year. He would come to the restaurant all the time, but he didn't know I could sing because I was a waitress. I never really told anybody I could sing, and I was young. But I was cleaning glasses one day, and I didn't know he was sitting there, and like I was singing to myself, like under my breath, and I was singing and cleaning glasses, and then he's like, "Is that you singing?" And I'm like, "Yeah." He's like, "Wow, you have an amazing voice. Can you sing a little more? Like, can I hear you really sing?" And I was like, "Sure." And like I sang him a song, and he's like, "Donika," he's like, "You are so talented." He's like, why didn't you tell me you know how to sing? Like, I know somebody who could help, you know, that's like in the music world and they could help you out.
Wow.
And I was like, oh my God, like a 16-year-old hearing this, like, oh my God, like, feel like I don't know, I got discovered or something. You know? So he like, I like was excited, but I also was like, he's an old guy. Like, who the heck does he know? Like, you know, like, you know, being like super judgmental, like didn't think of it, didn't want to get myself too excited. I was like, oh, we'll see what he's, you know, he comes here, he has drinks, like he could be a little drunk, God knows. So he leaves. And I think like a week later, we were doing a party because they used to have like parties and stuff there. And I'm like in the middle of work, and my boss comes up to me, and I thought I was in trouble. And he's like, "Come, I need it. I had somebody came for you." And I'm like, "What do you mean somebody came for you?" He comes over. He's like, he wanted me to give you this, and it's like a paper, and it says a person's name, and it says, you know, so and so name and a phone number. And he's
Wow.
like, oh, he brought like he wanted you to meet some guy, whatever. And he actually gave me like a phone number. So now I'm like excited because I'm like, oh my God, this is real. Like, what's going on? So I go home and I tell my sister. My sister, I only have one sister. She's my heart and soul. She's my older sister.
Oh.
And when I couldn't talk to my parents about things, she was like my second mom. Like I literally, she was, if I didn't have her in my life, I don't know where I'd be, honestly.
Oh.
Um, oh man, I'm gonna get emotional now.
Oh.
um, but she was like my backbone, so biggest supporter. Like she knew what my dreams were, and like no matter what my parents said, they were, you know, she was just always like, "Don't worry, I'll go with you to auditions. Like I'll come to your games." She was always like my fan. So I of course told her first. I was like, "Oh my God, this happened. Like, what do I do?" And she's like, "Call him." And like, you know, I told my mom. My mom was a little worried. She's like, "You're 16. Like, we don't know who this person is." And I was like, "Well, if Adona comes with me, like, you know, like she was like an adult at the time. I was like, she'll watch me. Like, everything will be fine." You know, so like we call the number, and it happened to be some producer, and he was like affiliated with like Sony and like a bunch of different labels,
Mhm.
and was just looking for artists to work with and like to, you know, write songs with and stuff, and like, you know, maybe find the next big person and like try to pitch them to like a label or something like that. So he's like, come in for like a little audition type thing, like where you come and sing for us. I would love to hear you sing. My friend Joe told me you're a great singer. Like, where do you live? I was like, oh, I live here. He's like, oh, I have a studio like not far from there. So me and my sister go. I first time ever in a studio, 16 years old. I get in the studio, I start singing. They're like, what do you know? I'm like, I know Unbreak My Heart. That was like my song always, like when I would audition for things. So I sang it, and it was him, and then there was like an indie label owner who was there also.
Mm.
And they were both like listening with the headphones. Now I can't hear them because I'm in the booth, but I could see their face expressions, and I'm nervous because like they're looking at each other like this, like listening to me and like looking at each other, and I'm like, is this good? Is it bad? Like, what's going on? And that person is still in my life today. And it's crazy because like all these years later, that person was the first person to introduce me to all these different people in like the industry. Like he was like the first stepping stone into the music industry for me. And he's still a good friend today. Like if I call him and I'm like, I need, this, or I need help with that, like he will literally help me with anything, with music, with anything.
Mhm.
And genuinely just because he's a good person. Like he
Yeah.
never asked me for a dime, never asked me for money, never. I just see it as like an angel,
Mhm.
and that's what I think a pivotal moment is, like when you have like someone or something comes and connects you to something else that's going to change your path in your life, right? But it's like they're not asking for anything in return. It's like their sole purpose was to like just bring you to the next level, and that's that person for me. Like he was the first person that like helped me out, and he was just at the time he was like a college kid. He's like a music genius.
Mhm.
He was able to he built his own studio in his house, and he was able to like affiliate himself with all these different uh labels and stuff. And he now owns an agency for bands, and he owns like a bunch of bands, and they do like weddings, they do like casinos, they travel all around the country. At
Mhm.
one point I ended up being a lead singer in his band, so like it was a lot of things that he connected me to just because he saw the potential in me, and he was like, I'm going to help her to like get to the next level. I was a young kid, didn't know anything about recording on a microphone. I didn't even know how to perform on a microphone,
Oh.
like I didn't even know like how do you sing? How far do you like put your mouth to the microphone? Like
Mhm.
he taught me like how to do warm-ups. He taught me like my first vocal lessons. Like so many things. And my sister would come with me, like she was there like the whole time. Anytime I would go to like these little rehearsals and stuff. Then he put me in a band when I was like 18. He had me audition for the band. All the people in the band were over 40, maybe older at the time, and I was so
Wow.
excited. And I never sang with a live band, and here I am auditioning to be a lead singer, and I get the job. And I'm like, oh my god, like I've never done this before, but I totally, you fake it till you make it.
Yeah.
And I did my best, and they could see that I was still young. Like I remember in the video, my sister actually has a video of me from that audition, and I was like, they're like, how old are you? And they're like playing guitar. They're like, how old are you? And I'm like, um, I'm 19. They're like, wait. I was like, I'm gonna be 19 in August, and they're like, so you're 18, because I'm like trying to like be older because I
You're
want to be
rounding it up, yeah.
taken seriously. Like it's so funny when you think back on it, like, oh, like 1 year is gonna make a difference. But it's just funny, like I really tried to to impress, and like to do my best to like get ahead in life, and with the music and stuff. So that was a big one for me. Then there was another person, later on, that I also got introduced to very randomly through a friend that I'm not even friends with anymore, and that person is someone that I work with still today too. He
Mhm.
sends work, he sends me all my songwriting stuff. I did ghostwriting with him, um that was an interesting experience.
How was that for you? Like, did you feel like there were some things about ghostwriting? So you're talking about the ghostwriting for music, right? Or ghostwriting
Yeah,
for, okay. Can you,
ghostwriting artists, like famous artists,
so
but I
can you share like any perspective that you believe is either unique or not commonly discussed in ghostwriting, like, and how it works? Because people are like, who is a ghostwriter really? Like, people oftentimes see it as like really bad juju, or it's like not something that's really widely accepted. But have you
the
noticed something?
the
Yeah.
thing bad about it is that I'm not gonna ever have my name on any of the songs that I worked on, you know?
Mhm.
And I was young at the time. Again, it was my first time ever writing for like someone famous, or like even being involved in songwriting. So for me, I was like, who cares if my name's not on it? Like I get to have this opportunity, and I still till this day don't regret it. I really don't. Would I
Yeah.
do that? Absolutely not, because now I value myself as a writer, and I made a name for myself, and I would like to have the recognition. I feel like at this point in my life, I deserve it. But you
Mhm.
do have to work your way to that point, and I really do believe that you need to, what's the word? Reap what you sow. Is that the right thing?
Yes. So what you reap.
Yeah. So like, because a lot of younger generations, like they don't realize our generation, like millennials, I feel like we were the last generation to work for free, you know, and
Yes.
good thing or a bad thing. To me, it's a good thing. Like I appreciate that I had those opportunities because I was able to like connect with all these people. And now that I did make a name for myself, that same person is calling me and giving me opportunities that I can actually make money from, that I could actually put my name on. because he'll never forget all the favors I did, you know.
Right.
Not everybody's like that. That's why it is, you know, looked down upon also a little bit, because all these other writers take credit for like things that I contributed, you know. So that's why there's a lot of things to it where it's like it's not the greatest, but
It's not a good feeling. Yeah, it could be a little not disempowering, because you still keep going with your music and as well as your writing. So it never stops the inspiration. So you're so powered up by your Mercury position. It's incredible. So you keep working a lot with your Mercury position, because that's about how you generate ideas, how you generate inspiration, creativity. And in Sagittarius, not Sagittarius, in Leo, it's meant to point towards your sun being in the 8th house. All those planets are in the 8th house. So 8th house, as I said, it's like the unearthed. You're not seen so much, but you do make impact, believe it or not. So even though you don't have the credit from those really, you know, memorable songs or notable songs, you did make an impact to society more than you believe.
Yeah.
But
And
it's a lot of humility that you hold inside, you know, as a Virgo sun.
Yeah, I mean, it's not that like it doesn't upset me like that I did it.
Yeah.
It's not like I could have done anything different, because to be honest, I wasn't equipped with the education to be able to fight for, or to say like, hey, like, and the truth is, in the music business, it's very difficult. Like, you have to have tough skin, you know, because you have to realize that if you are just entering the music industry, you are not going to, no one is going to respect you unless you have a name for yourself. That's just the way it is. You could be the person, and they're going to be like, well, who are you? Like, who did you write for? Like, you know, what education do you have? Like, can you do this? It's like, there's always like a little bit of a competition, you know, and you have to, they want you to work hard, and I can't think of like the expression that I want to use, but when
it's all the connections too. Like sometimes just like you have to like really get yourself out there and broadcast constantly and just be the example, because you got that nice Venus in Virgo in the 9th. You also have the moon in the 9th and the Vesta in the 9th. So I'm just giving you a little mini reading here. Venus is the beauty that you generate, and as well as the creativity. So Mercury is about the ideas, but Venus takes it the next step further in terms of structuralizing and making it. So Venus in the 9 just shows that you need to be the example, just taking it from one end of the ideas that you had and then broadcasting it on your own. So you shine in your own embodiment as a Venus in Virgo. And the moon there in Libra too, like Libra moons, I'm a Libra moon too. The confrontation, you're like, I don't want confrontation. I don't want an ugly cry in front of you right now or anything like that. I don't want an ugly cry. It's not beautiful. But your emotionality is seen. Like, people really do connect with you by your vulnerability, by your true and unapologetic expression. So it's just stunning. And even Vesta, I talk about Vesta on this podcast quite a bit, and I'll explain it to you with what it means, and some people who don't know what it is. Vesta is a beautiful, really incredible asteroid to connect with when it comes to igniting the inner flame inside our hearts, preserving that spark that we hold inside. The devotion will be seen. Your devotedness in terms of serving will be notable as you broadcast it. So just wanted to say that. But there's like, that's how you aligned. That's how you aligned with your planets.
That's my biggest issue, like bringing it to life, and like even just like posting on social media and stuff. Like it's I don't know why I just can't get with the program. Like, I'm really trying, and I know that's the only way nowadays to really get like your craft out and for people to know who you are. But it's just like, oh, I hate it so much. I'm like, oh, why do I always have to make videos and post them, and it has to be a certain time?
You don't have a lot of air in your chart. That's why you're more the lack of air. And for anybody who has a lack of air, who's listening to this or watching this, people who have lack of air in their charts, they're not built and equipped for social media. Even though they could be seen on social media, somebody else has to do the video editing or the posting, putting on the captions for you. You write the captions yourself, but they have to do it in terms of delivering. It's just like, you just want to embody fully in the creativity. That's the reason.
I enjoy making stuff. Yes. It's just the mundane, like thinking of like, oh God,
it's boring. You're like, I have more stuff to create.
True. even like in my lifetime, I had so many different jobs. Like, let me tell you, girl, I had it's like 3 pages long.
I read your credentials. I'm like, wow. I'm like, I attract a lot
Oh,
of
and that's
people.
nothing. That's nothing because
I
those are,
attract a lot of guests on the show who have like, they're like the jack of all trades. I'm just like another one here.
I always joke and start a YouTube channel called Donika Does It All because I literally do it all.
You do crafts and stuff like that too, probably.
I do.
Yeah. Like you're like Martha Stewart.
I cook. I do. Look, I'm telling you, anything that I pick up, I'm not trying to be cocky. I swear, like I
No, I
excel in it.
believe it.
It's the weirdest thing. Like I'll try it. I'll watch a YouTube video. I'm like, oh, I want to try making that, and I do it, and I'm like, oh my god, I did it perfectly. How is this possible? And every family, they always come to me for everything because they're like, I know if anyone could pull this off, Danica can, and they call me and they'll be like, oh my god, like I'm having this, it'll be like a random crisis, and I'm a problem solver. That's a thing with me too. Like I always find a solution to everything. But whew, as far as jobs goes, I started with like waitressing, like just like work wise, I started with no matter what I was passionate about and doing,
Service.
because I was
You're
always
always
doing,
serving.
I was serving people. And it's funny, I'm even a certified medical assistant and phlebotomist. I worked in pediatrics. I worked in food industry.
Wow.
And then when in food industry, I was a bartender, I was a waitress. I even made salads at one point in the kitchen, like did it all. And then from restaurant, I went to medical. From medical, I went to financial. I worked in wealth management as an executive assistant. I worked for a Grammy nominated artist as a senior executive assistant. It was like a personal assistant, executive assistant. Oh my God. Always assisting people. I don't know how I always like assisting, but I finally like stopped and I was like, I need to, even though I'm still, I told you last time we spoke, I'm like, I might be getting a job. I'm like, I don't know about my schedule. I'm still looking for a paycheck, girl. You know what I'm saying? But it's hard because like you have that, I'm not a famous artist right now. I'm not making the type of money that I could be. I mean, it's definitely, there's potential. And I feel like eventually I will get there.
Yep.
That's goal is to do what I love and make money from it and be able to be comfortable. I think my goal in life has never been to be rich. I think that's my problem, to be honest, because there's people
it's a common thing with light workers. We all go through that. We do. I mean, some are very money oriented. Therefore they miss the bigger picture of serving others. Whereas the other ones who are very much enwrapped into just being of help. I want to help. I just want to be there. They wear themselves thin. And in your case, the music that you create, or as well as the message that you project, is what will be seen and recognized. Because I see that supportive sextile, exactly 21 degrees Mercury, the Leo, with Vesta. Vesta's in Libra and 21 degrees in the 9th house. Both of those two working together, that's the support that you will receive. It's a fire and air exchange. You don't have a lot of air in your chart for one, but it's through clearly expressing your convictions and purpose. That's when you will have both feet on the ground, Capricorn rising, and you're going to climb up. Because the thing about that is when you're so enwrapped into just like, I just got to do the work. I got to do this. I got to do that. It's just like, it's a combobulating inflow of too much information where you're missing the bigger picture. It's about it's just about the message. It's just about expressing your true and authentic nature unapologetically. It's that vulnerable space. Your son's in the 8th too. It's just like these people, they have so much power to manifest. And I'm sure you had clear crystal intentions. Like, I'm going to create this video. I'm going to produce it. I'm going to make it happen. And therefore it flared out into everybody talking about it. And I saw that and I was just like, wow, like you even did one Adelina's song. I'm like, that's amazing. Like, it's just like, I was like, that just spoke to me when I heard your voice with her song. So again, it's about the passion into it. And Vesta and Mercury joining forces. That's the link. That's how I feel. Yeah. Because the 9th house is broadcasting. It's media, it's exposure, it's your aspirations. Mercury excavates that. Mercury excavates the 8th house energy. It's like what's stored inside you and needs to come out. So, basically bridging all of your past experiences of life, of serving others. What do you see in terms of the missing link of what people are real, like don't see with what's been happening with humanity. Does that make sense? And then putting it into some art form for yourself.
That's you like gave me the chills just now. That's like very,
Yeah.
you don't think that's specific. That's extremely specific for me right now, because I was just
Oh, okay. Yeah, that's Vesta. I work very closely with Vesta myself. Like it's on my
yeah,
sun.
because like even like I was talking to Jack. I was talking DJ Jack. It's funny
Mhm.
to like refer to him as DJ Jack because I know him, so Jack. But I was talking to him one day too, because I was like, I have this like idea creatively, because we all talk about, even the people that we did the video with, like we all,
You brainstorm.
yeah, we brainstorm, and it's like nice because he's very creative. He does a lot of like he's really good at the social media stuff, so he always gives me like pointers because I'm not good at the social media stuff. So like, I mean, I've like
It's okay. You
to
don't have
work.
to be. You know, I'm serious. It's exhausting. I know. I understand. But keep going. I'm sorry.
It's okay. No, I appreciate that. I've managed to like figure out Instagram very well. It's TikTok that I'm having trouble with, and it's just a matter of
It's a
it's not even,
millennial issue.
it's yeah, and it's not even of like creating content, because I don't have trouble coming up with ideas. It's like actually posting it, you know?
Yeah.
Same thing with my music. Like I have lots of songs that I just haven't released yet, and I'm like, Donika, you need to release something. You haven't released something since 2020. Me personally, I haven't released something since 2021. I think that was the last time. So I'm like, that is not good. Like it's almost 2024 now, and I haven't like released a song, and I've just been doing covers on like, you know, on Instagram and stuff, even though I have all this music. But I'm such a perfectionist, and I'm like, oh no, like it has to be like this, or there has to be a certain way. And so I was talking to Jack, and I was like, I have this crazy idea, because I've lately been thinking like, how can I differentiate myself from other people on social media? Because that's what it's all about. Like you really have to have something different for people to notice you and for people to take you seriously. Because if you're just like recycling whatever other people are doing, it's not as authentic. And I'm
Yes.
like, I show who I am through making content, like through making 30 30-second 1 minute videos. Like how do I do that in like these little short, you know, amount of time?
It's an art. It's about that punchline.
Yeah.
It's crystal clear, 10 seconds or less
Yeah.
punchline. It's just like there's a very low attention span these days, and that's how it is. But
Yeah.
even how you channel that, you have this incredible, like, it's called Black Moon Lilith. I don't know if you heard of her before. Lilith.
Lilith.
Okay, here we go. She's in your second house in Aquarius.
Oh.
So she's meant to channel the collective. I'm not saying you need to be revengeful or rage filled or anything like that, but it's about drawing out the impurities of society, bringing it onto the table, and help people see in clear light as to what's going on. She's opposing your Mercury. That's where
Yeah.
you find the full circle of this information in terms of you being seen. So you said you had a song that was controversial a little bit, and I was like, oh, such a Lilith. I'm like, yeah, I'm like she's
And
channeling that.
in the like, I could never use that song really. Like if when you look at like the business side of it, like
Yeah.
the only like possible way that song could ever be used or like really be heard is if it was used for sync. Like maybe if there's like a specific type of movie or a show or something where that song would like work with the, you know. But as far as it being radio, never. That will never be, because it's just way too controversial. The thing is, I'm not writing anymore. Like that's another thing. Like I decided, like I had a moment, an epiphany where I was like, I am not going to just write stuff just because it's like it sounds nice. Like could I write a pop song that's catchy about something that's really not, that I'm not passionate about? Absolutely.
It's
Like I could,
commercial. Yeah.
right.
It's too
And I
commercial.
that, you know, that's what I do. I write commercial songs, but for other people. But that's not what I want to portray. Like I want people to just hear like my messages, you know. But the other thing is like, one way that I've done that is, you know, putting out music. Another way that I, you know, stuff that I post is sometimes I like to do funny stuff on Instagram too. Like I just posted a funny video today. Just because I'm like, I'm a funny person, and I just love like making people laugh. So I do like to show that side of myself, because that's like the real side of me. And
Yep.
like I don't mind people seeing that. Like I don't have to always be perfect and serious all the time.
Yeah.
But then there's also like this missing link of like people knowing who I am. Like when this is only the second podcast I've done, but like this is a good way for people to get to know who I am, because I introduce myself, you introduce me, we talk about what I've been through, we maybe go through a few points in my life, right? But no one who's just like following me on Instagram, unless they're just watching my day-to-day stories, right? They don't really know who Donika is, like what I've been through, what I've gone through. Like, so my thing is like, how do I put that out? And I have all these journals, like going back to all these journals that I have since I was a kid, where I wrote down, like, I have poetry in there, I have songs, lyrics, I have just journal entries, like ranging from like, I was mad because I had like a tuna sandwich for lunch or something, to
I love
like,
it.
I have a journal entry when I moved to Long Island from Brooklyn. And we were used to getting hot lunch, like, and I was like 7 years old. No, not 7. I was 9 years old, 8 or 9 years old. And I writing in my journal, like, I came back from my first day of school in Long Island and they didn't have any hot lunch. Like, you had to bring your own sandwiches. Like, my mom had to pack lunch for me. And I was like, I hate Long Island. Like, we don't get to have hot lunch. Like, like the most ridiculous thing, right? But like at that time, that was my problem, you know? And so I have journal entries like that that are just,
I wish
like,
that was the majority of our problems, when we're like just complaining about hot lunch and cold lunch, you know?
Exactly. But then I have serious ones, like where I was like really young, like I was like maybe 12 years old, and I'm writing about like my father, you know, beating my mom or something crazy like that, you know?
Right.
So like, but all those things are, even like the things like that, and both extremes are still part of who I am and like what I've been through, and it shows my growth. And like, even like stuff that I wrote, like poetry that I wrote when I was like 11, 12 years old, songs that I wrote, like I'm like, oh my God, like I was a special kid. Like I read my stuff and I'm like, I don't know if it's because like I'm loving my inner child when I read that stuff, but I'm like, it gets me emotional. But I'm like, how did nobody know how special I was? You know, like, how did nobody cover me when I was this age or whatever? Not that like, I don't know how to explain it. It's like, people knew, you know, but my parents didn't have the capacity to like put me in like stuff, you know. They put me in acting school when I was a kid. That was about it. But then they didn't have time to take me to auditions. So it was like pointless. I was in acting school, but I couldn't go to auditions. Like, you know, I was in choir, but like they didn't have time to come watch me. Or they would like be like, oh, like, you know, she can go all state and she could do this and that. And it's like, oh, well, who's going to drive you? We have to work. You know, it was always that immigrant parent lifestyle. Like a lot of,
I know,
you know, kids, not just in Albanian culture, just like kids that had immigrant parents went through. So I missed out on a lot of opportunities as a kid that it probably could have changed my life sooner, you know?
they weren't cultured themselves, like, because they were so enwrapped into the old. Because back home, I think your parents probably came here when, like, what, 1970s, 80s, probably?
No, my parents came here my dad came here what was it, 1990. He came
Oh,
here.
wow. Okay, so they came when, it was rough. Is he from Kosovo or is he from
Yeah.
Montenegro? Okay.
So, and my mom and dad were apart from each other for 2 years or 3 years, and then he finally brought my mom here with my brother and sister. And I'm the first generation in America. And then
I've noticed that with parents, like especially immigrant parents, even including my own immigrant parents. My mother was here when she was 4, though. Like, that's when she arrived. And my dad, though, he was 13 when he came here. But even they were like, you're really talented in this, this, and this, but then nothing to nurture that space to grow. But you find it within yourself later. I know you're like you could have shaped yourself like maybe a little bit sooner, but those milestones of your experience leading to where you are right now, it was meant to shape you to who you are, because you're meant to go through those experiences to help other people to feel supported.
I'm not like that like my parents didn't, because I understand why they didn't. And also later on, they also told me, you know, my dad was just scared. Like, my parents were just scared. They were like, what if something happened to you? They were always afraid and very protective and scared. They're in a new country, new language. Like,
are you sure they're not related to my parents?
They're all related. Where's your family, by the way?
My parents are both from Montenegro.
But your last name you're not married. You said you were married, right?
I am married.
Is Pelinko your last name or your husband?
My maiden name is Polenko. I still have my maiden name.
Oh, okay. So you guys
Huh?
You guys are from like Ulchen on Amali like side?
Olchen.
Yeah. So
and my husband's from Peja, Kosovo.
Are you guys related to like the singers, the Pelinko brothers?
That everybody always asks me that question, but no. I was like, Bob means dad, in case people are wondering. I'm like, Bob, I'm like, are we related to the, Palinku singer? He's like, no, we're not.
So
So many Palinkos. I know what you mean. Yes.
But she's Gusin. She's from like Prava Gusi area. But we did like I did my ancestry, and I found out that we have family in Anamali, but I forgot like what town. Tuzi. They're from like Tuzi.
Oh, that's nice. That's a nice area. Yeah,
they are not really Tuzi, but like we have some like distant family that moved to Tuzi, and that they created a life there. So like it's really interesting.
Wow, you can actually track people when you're like Albanian ancestry. I didn't know that. I have to look now.
Well, you can't. That it happened for me. I was just lucky because somebody reached out to me on it, because on Ancestry you can actually like find cousins and stuff, like people you're related to.
Yeah.
And if they've done the test on Ancestry and they created a profile and they want to reach out, like, not everybody wants to, but like some people are curious and they'll reach out and be like, how am I related to you? So this woman actually wanted to know because she didn't have a lot of family, and she was from Tuzi, and I guess they didn't have a lot of family that they were related to in the area or something like that. And she came to America, and she did it, and her daughter was like using the platform for her. And it was such a small world. Like we ended up knowing each other through the grapevine because she was like related to my husband's best friend, like really random. And I ended up seeing them at a wedding, and they recognized my face because of the photo on my Ancestry. And they were like, I messaged you on Ancestry. And I'm like, what? You're the one that messaged me? And they asked me if I had family from Tuzi, and I asked my mom, and she's like, no, I don't think so. Like my mom's young, she doesn't really know. She got married when she was 16, came to America like when she was 20.
Are you sure my mom are not the same? Like, are they like my mother got married very young. She got married at 16 also. Oh my gosh. Children. Anyway.
Yeah.
I know I don't usually openly talk about this, because my mother, she even admits it. She's like, she got married very young. It was very commonly accepted. Nowadays, it's just like, are you crazy?
My parents did not accept it. She was the youngest in the family. She was obsessed with my dad. She was like, I'm with him. I want to be with him. And my grandparents did not want to let it happen, but it was the first person she like fell in love with, first guy she ever talked to. And she was like head over heels, and they only knew each other for 3 months. They got married, and
there you go. Rest is history. Definitely a karmic bond.
They went through a lot. I wouldn't say there's, but
I get it. No, it was just a different time. It was a really different time in terms of
and as soon as she got married, she got pregnant with my sister, like shortly after. She had her first child right at the age of 18. And then one after the other, then my brother was next, and then she had me when she was 23. So she had 3 kids by 23, and fourth one was a little later. My little brother, she was like I think she was 32. So my mom is like, she was born 1969, so she's young.
My goodness, same age as my mother.
Oh
wow, what are the chances of that? Oh my gosh. Okay.
Numbers matter though. I really believe in numerology, and like that makes sense. That's so cool. Because I always talk to people or meet people, and something always connects with numbers, like, or with like dates or like birthdays. My dad was born 1965, so he's just a little bit older. So they have young parents. But even though they were young, they still had that mentality. They came, at that time. Anybody who came from 1990 and later, earlier, they have a different mentality, like very different mentality.
Yeah. Do you feel that there were some mannerisms that you took with you with your parents, like involving your parents, like mindset of how things should be? Or are there things that you were totally repelled by? Like, is there something that you like treasure in terms of the old culture, or are there things that you wish that wasn't even received? Does that make sense?
Yeah, there's a little bit of, and then it's also based on like my aging process, and like maybe when I become a mother, things will change too. But I think like as you go through things in life, you start to realize, oh wow, my mom was right when she taught me that, or like, oh, you know what, I'm happy that my parents were strict because I might have went down the wrong roads, or like certain things like that. I think it comes with like just maturing and realizing why they did certain things. And then there's also that side of me that's like, I will never do this with my kids. Like, what they did to me, like, I'll never do that. Like, I already know that was my learning process. Like, I'm never going to do that, whatever that is. And I think a couple of things that I that I still have. I mean, I have a lot of things for my parents, you know. Definitely, I'm a little hot-headed. I'm definitely very determined. I'm very, as far as my dad, even though, you know, they might not look like the best qualities, but I'm happy that we're that way, because I say we because all my siblings are like that. Me and my siblings were all the same in the sense that we are go-getters, and we're a little hard-headed, and
I value that.
we don't
That's
take
like
no.
my family. Same thing. We're all hot-headed. We're like, just finish what you start. Like, that's how we are.
We all have a
Say
little,
what you're gonna do.
That's what they say, like inot, like from my boy, you know, volnet.
Yes.
So we are like a little bit tough because of that. We have tough skin, which I don't regret it. I think it's a good thing. I think that people should have a little tough skin. Like me and my friend always joke, because she's not Albanian, but she's my best friend, and she's also been through some traumas in life. And we always like compare, we trauma bond all the time. And we're always like, you know, she has a kid now, and she's like, that child needs a little trauma in her life. She's just
Oh
like,
my gosh. No.
not
You
like,
gotta toughen them up. Yeah.
not trauma, but you know, like, you know, just like a little, like, you know, it's all right. You'll survive. Like, scrape your knee, you're fine. We don't have to coddle you, you know. It's just like some things do build you, and I do believe they will build you into the person you are, and like how you deal with certain things. So
Yeah.
and then I've also been through a lot of deaths in my life, which is crazy. Like, and I didn't even realize that was something that not everybody goes through, like, until recently.
Definitely eighth house sun. You're eighth
Yeah.
house sun person.
Wow.
And yes, and even Jupiter in the eighth. I also have Jupiter in the eighth. So it's like lots of death around, or
Yeah.
understanding of the basically the in-between realms. Like you've seen death, or you perceive death. You see death in everything. I'm not saying see death like you're, you know, emo or gothic, and not to knock anybody who's emo or gothic, but it's more
I
along the lines of you seeing the shades. You are same here. I have like a little edge, believe
I
it or
had
not. Some people do, they do not see that in me, but I'm a Pluto person. So Pluto's rising, I see death in everything. But eighth house energy, it's more along the lines of you seeing the nuances, the little mini deaths that we experience. You perceive the world around you as endings, but also new beginnings. It's a natural flow of your life.
No, and like I'll bring up anything. That's just an example. Like, it's not like I talk about it every day. Like, let's talk about death every day. No, it's just that, like say we get into a conversation, like the way I would have that conversation is very like, it's just very matter of fact. Like, I'm like, oh, but it's death. Like, we're all gonna die. We're all gonna go to the same. We're all gonna end up in the same place.
And
Or
that's
maybe
the mystery. I think it's the mystery of them not seeing and living to tell the tales, what scares them, you know, like understanding what death means. But even like changes and transformation in our lives, like new milestones, having a child, or getting married, or having a child, or vice versa. That's also a death in a way, because it's like the
yeah,
old shift from an old identity into the next.
yeah,
And that's a huge thing that people have a hard time grasping, or new career, or life
yes,
decision. You know,
yes.
it's just like that's things that people oftentimes resist. Therefore, they don't even see what the light of day could bring if you do, you
Yeah,
know, the idea of it. Not to say like people have to do all those things to be fulfilled, but it's just like in that moment where you're afraid to take that step, or that afraid to understand what it means, death I'm talking about. You're
100.
going to feel constricted. You're always going to be stuck, and you're not going to invite new flow of opportunities your way too, you know?
Yeah, it's true. I don't know, like, I don't know if it's like something I've always had, but I just feel like, I guess since I was young, there was always like something, like, you know, my parents would wake me up, oh, this person died, oh, that person died, and like some
Mm,
people I would be grieving for, some people I would not, because I didn't have like a connection to them, you know.
right.
But it's family, you know, still, so of course you feel bad and everything, but I'm just being realistic, like, you know, if you don't
Mhm.
have a connection, it's hard to like grieve for them. um but you grieve for their family, and you grieve, like, you know, it's sad. It's
Yeah.
sad to hear if anybody passed away, you know what I mean.
Mhm.
But as I got older, I became, I don't want to say colder, I don't think it's like that I'm colder, it's just that, like,
Detached.
yeah, I became,
Detached. You're not really as tethered to the drama of it all, remaining
yeah,
attached to the like the aftershock of death. I understand. Like sometimes it hits you hard, but then you're like, I understand that they are going to go to the next place, because you perceive it, but you also do mediumship in a sense, or psychic ability. Like it's just, yeah, there's more to this life than the now. more to
Yeah.
this life than the
But
density of
even
this.
though I do that, even though, I still like like I also still question things. I still, I'm still a human.
As
So
long as you remain curious, that's healthy,
yeah, I still, I still miss people that have passed that were close to me and, and stuff like that, even though like I know they're around me. Like I actually went through a specific tragedy in my life that changed my entire, like, that was a huge, huge, I don't know. I feel like the day after this
Mhm.
person passed away, I woke up into a whole new life. That's how
It
intense
happened
it
to
was.
me too. I know. Was it like what? How old were you when that happened?
This happened in 2014. It was actually my hala. She,
Your aunt. Okay.
yeah, she got murdered.
I'm so
Um,
sorry. Yeah.
by her husband. So
Mm.
that was an intense thing, because she was really close to me too and close to everybody. I mean, she was just a ray of light. Um but she was really close. Like, we were super close because like I would spend literally every week there. Every weekend I was either at her house or her kids were at our house. Like, we're just like, those were my first cousins that we grew up with, like, since we were born here, because they were born here too. And she was the only sibling that my dad had in America when he first came. She was the first one to come here, so like he doesn't have any other. Actually, he has one other sister, but she came later. Her kids are older. We never really connected the way like we connected with them. We kind of grew up
Mm.
with them. That was my dad's baby sister, and she was the youngest one in the family, so like she was the cool aunt. Like, I could go and talk to her about anything. Then as I got older, like I was like 18, 19 age, like I was able to be more open with her, like, oh, who I'm dating, this, that. Like, I remember when I first started dating my husband, she was like the first person I told. you know
So
so
she
we
had like the most influence in your life. It sounds like.
yeah, like she used to tell me, oh, I can't wait till you get married, you're gonna wear my demi, I'm gonna give them to you. Like, she used to say like all the, like she was just like, I don't know how to explain it. I have all these like memories with her. And she was like our emergency contact, like in school, like
Yeah.
she was the person they would call if something happened.
I
So we were
see.
really close to her, and I'm grateful that I had her. I don't want to get
Thank you
emotional.
for sharing that. I really appreciate that. And it just shows that her love just continues to live on in your life. It's
And
beautiful. And she sounds like she has like a lot of pull of your influence, and as well as she shaped you to who you are as well. She was like the safety net of the nurture, you know.
and and it's funny because like anybody who knew her, like anyone, even like everyone in my family, there's like not one bad thing that anybody could say about her, which is crazy. Like, every person who has ever come in contact with her is always like, oh my god, she was an amazing, like, I can't believe that she's gone.
The good
Because
ones go faster. Not to say that we're not good ones, but it's just like for
that's
some
what they,
reason the ones who are like very pure love, light, they go pretty early. It's just they're meant
she
to
was.
make that impact in the
Yeah.
moment, even though her life was robbed in a way,
Hmm.
unfortunately, in that circumstance. But she did make a huge impact to a lot of people. It just shows. And
That
that
was an
happens with us too. Like whoever you are coming across in your life, you decide how you want to react or as well as transmute. You make much more of an impact than you believe,
impact.
like just by a word that you say or how you look at a person or how you are around a person.
Yeah,
It creates a ripple effect of an impact. But I
yeah, for
wanted to ask you, did you want to add anything before? Yeah. Sorry, go
oh
ahead.
no, I mean, we've just like went from subject to subject.
No, this is really fascinating. Thank you so much for sharing. I
uh,
really appreciate that.
but
Um,
yeah, with
yes.
her, yeah, I mean, what I don't like, I don't even know how I got into that, to be honest, but maybe she should be talked about right now. She's like, I always feel her. She's definitely a very big guide in my life.
Hmm.
Um, a lot of the things that happened after her death, oh, that's what it was. So like that was a pivotal moment for me.
Hmm.
Um, that tragedy in our family was such a pivotal moment for everybody, and I saw a huge difference. And it's crazy because even like I'll look at photos of like myself, like literally the day of, I took like a selfie, like I happened to take a selfie that day or something, and like
Hmm.
my face looked different. And then like 2 days later I had like another photo of myself and I looked like a different person. And
Wow.
maybe other people don't see it, maybe it's something that I only see, but it's like I could
Hmm.
see like the difference. And like, and not that I'm minimizing what her kids went through, because she left behind 4 children, but um I believe that when someone passes to the other side, they can be in many places at once, and I do believe that she's with all her kids all the time, but she's also with us too.
Of
And
course.
she's probably with a lot of people, her siblings, you know, that she left behind, and you
Well,
know,
you're
everyone.
multidimensional. Like
Yeah,
even outside the body, you're multidimensional. You can go to a lot of places as a spirit, as a soul, you know?
yeah.
It
But
makes sense.
her, I don't know, you know, obviously it was a very traumatizing thing too. Like, I don't want to say I don't know why I felt like it changed my life. Um, but
Definitely.
it's insane how like something that like that can impact like your entire trajectory. That's the word, yeah.
Mhm.
Because right after that, it's like I went in. I went. That's when like I think my spiritual awakening really started.
It's
Because
usually the most dramatic deaths that
yeah,
happens. It shakes up the foundation of the either family or community. War like it just creates a ripple effect, believe it or not. And it does help you align in a much more authentic place whenever
yeah,
these deaths occur. And as soul contracts, and you most likely already know this already, we, even though it might be a little like untoward with what I'm going to say, but even when our lives are robbed, that actually is a part of a soul agreement to some extent. I know I might be a little out of offline, but
no, no, not at all. Because
usually that drama, it creates like a fracture in a way with their contract, her and her husband, the one who ended her life, unfortunately. But if that were to happen in that reality, it created a whole ripple effect of people living more in the moment and more authentically. Does that make sense?
no, it does make sense. It's just it's something that not a lot of people
Say, I
think
know. I've read
about,
it before, and I see it also with people
because
in my life.
there is a life that's going on right now where maybe she is alive in that life. Like,
It
it's
could
crazy.
be, yeah, like sliding doors. I know what you're talking
Like,
about.
but people, and I've dreamed about that. Like, I have very,
Yes.
and I have dreamt after her death that like I was like in today's time, at the time when I was dreaming, like it wasn't like, it wasn't before her death. It was like it was like years after she died, and like she came to my mom's house, like nothing happened, and she was just like hanging out with us. And I
Yeah.
was, and I felt like I was visiting a different time in my dream, because, or I was visiting a different plane. Um
Yes.
because I knew that I was like, she's not, she's supposed to be dead. Why is she here? This is crazy.
Mhm.
And everybody else was looking at me like, what are you talking about? Like, are you like, what's wrong with you?
Wow. Yeah,
Yeah,
I believe it.
I, I have like crazy dreams like that. I have very, very powerful. That's another thing. But
Again, you're an eighth house person. You're eighth house stallion. You were meant to really tap into this part of your life where the unseen, and bring it to the fore of people to receive at the
yeah,
same time. You know, you receive information as well as you're like the one foot in the earth plane and one foot in the other world, the other side.
uh,
Even in the dream realms, that's the same, you know. But what I wanted to ask you this one question too. What would you say at this point now from where you are? What is your what is your most proud accomplishment?
wow, that's crazy. That's a crazy question.
If
Um,
you're comfortable answering, of course.
like initial, like this is how crazy I think that I'm like, I'm already in the future. Like, I'm already like always like looking forward. So like,
Yeah.
greatest accomplishment didn't happen yet. Like, it's coming.
Ah.
First, that's always my first answer when people ask me something like that, because I'm just like, I still don't feel like I have gotten there yet, you know.
Yeah.
But it's also because I'm just the type of person that I'm like, no matter where I am, I I I have trouble stopping and like looking back at everything I've done till now. And
Yeah.
that's something that I'm working on. Like, I'm really trying to like value what I have accomplished, instead of like being like, okay, I did that, now what's next, you know.
You've done so much more than you know.
uh,
Even touching another person, making them feel comforted. The
yeah.
words in your music, that's an accomplishment for sure. Because
And I
somebody was meant to hear it. Yes, go
and
on.
that's literally like,
Yeah.
it's crazy to say, because like, you, when people talk about accomplishments, they, you know, they might see it as like a reward, or like they finished college, or they did this or they did that. And I do have those type of accomplishments too, but I
Mhm.
think the biggest one is like note realizing that I have made a difference in people's lives in like the smallest ways. um Especially this year, I don't know what it was, well, this past year, so like my 30th, because I just turned 31, but the year of 30 to 31, you know, that year was like a big, big like thing for me when I turned 30. And then like up until now, until my birthday that just passed, there was just a big like energy of like love and appreciation for me from a lot of people. Like
Yeah.
a lot of people like really like told me what they felt, and like showed their appreciation for me and made me feel like, oh my God, like I did that, like I made you feel that way. Like and made me realize like, wow, I think I made more of an impact on people than I thought, and not just
Yes.
friends and family for sure. Like, I mean, I was celebrated like my 30th birthday. Let's just even like that, such a small little thing, but like my whole life, I never made a big deal out of my birthday. But my 30th, like everyone celebrated me like crazy. Like I've never been more celebrated in my life than my 30th birthday. And most people, they celebrate those milestones, obviously, but like my friends were all doing stuff for me. Like my best friend took me away on like a trip. I did a trip of a lifetime with my husband. We did like a whole like Spain, France trip together.
That's
Um,
nice.
we did like all these things that I never thought I would like. If somebody told me even a year before that I'd be doing all those things, like I would have never, I would have been like, how? Like, I don't have the means to do that or like plan for that or whatever. But somehow the universe like aligned things for me to be able to enjoy myself and celebrate the fact that I turned 30. And
Oh, that's great.
people, and the whole year, it's just been like people just coming to me and telling me, like, oh my God, like, I just appreciate you in my life. Or like, even like, just things like that. And not even just friends and family, but like I started busking right in Central Park, and that was a big moment for me too, when I felt like appreciated and not appreciated, seen. I felt seen. I don't know if that's the word. I don't know if I'm using the right words, but
Received.
yeah, received. There we go. That's
Received. I see that. That's definitely Vesta in the ninth.
not that I want
Received.
it's not that I want to be noticed or I'm like looking for praise. It's more like people that I didn't even know. Like okay, so I was busking because I just wanted to busk. I didn't busk because I was like, I'm gonna go busk and I'm gonna go heal people. Like that wasn't my initial thought. My initial thought was like, it was something on my bucket list as a New Yorker that I always wanted to do. And I was like, I
Good.
want to thing in the park. Like I see people do it all the time. I'm like, I just want to do it and see what happens, like for fun,
Oh, that's beautiful.
So I just started doing it, and I thought it was going to be a one-day thing, and it ended up being like a whole summer thing last summer. And through that, the money that I made doing that, like I actually was able to go on this big trip. So like it like everything kind of like domino affected,
You
but
made a much more of like you attracted more abundance just by you embodying the love of your craft or the
yeah,
love of what you do. And that's how it works. It's just by you actually being harmoniously in the joy of it all. And that's
yeah,
and everything
it,
does happen for you eventually.
yeah, and I didn't even do it like I wasn't looking for even for money wise. Like I did, to be honest, like I never thought that buskers made like a living. I know that sounds fucked up, but excuse my language.
That's
That sounds
okay.
up. I know that sounds messed up, but I just never like thought of it. I just never thought like they were doing it to like live. Like I thought that people were just doing it because they just enjoyed what they were doing, and
Mm,
they were open to tips, right?
yeah.
So like how much are people going to tip? You put $1, you put some extra change you have in your purse. I was making a living. I was making a living
Mm,
from this. And I was like, oh my God, like now I know why people do this, really do this. Like it pays the bills.
mm.
And I was like, so that was a bonus because at the time I also I didn't have a paycheck, and I was like, oh, this is great because I wasn't looking to make money, but it is helping me out. And but when I was going to the park, that was never my intention. It wasn't like, oh, let's see how much money I'm going to make today. It was
No.
always, I can't wait to sing for people. I can't wait to sing for strangers. Wait to like set up my stuff, like go live on Instagram, like just like spread my, my talent.
Makes
So
sense. Yeah.
I never sang songs that were my own either. Like at the park, I wasn't singing my own songs. I was singing literally cover songs. But I can't tell you how many stories I have that I wish I could have like documented. Like I wish that I had like a video person following me the whole time so that they could have like captured these moments, but they're only stories now. And it's insane, like the amount of people I met that came to me, and strangers that like came to me with different things. Like I have like a bunch of different instances. Like one time it was like one of the most emotional times was when this like woman came to me with her husband, and I was just singing, doing my thing, and they walked up to me and they're like really emotional, and they're like, can we ask you for a request? I'm like, sure, I do requests, like what would you like me to sing? And they told me to sing Over the Rainbow. And they're like, we're
Oh,
actually spread my daughter's ashes because she was in a car accident a few weeks ago, and we had already planned this trip to New York City for her graduation. So we decided to take it anyway, and we decided to spread her ashes at all the places that she wanted to go visit. So I literally could not keep it together because I'm like, how does someone say that without you like bawling, you know? The crazy thing is I felt that their daughter's presence was there. I couldn't tell them that because it was just way too fresh. And I was like, I don't want to get them emotional.
Yeah.
But I could feel her presence there. And then after I sang for them and I kept it together and I sang while they were spreading the ashes, they came to me, they tried to give me a huge tip. And I was like, no, please. I don't want any of your money. Like, I really just want to give you that as a gift, you know? And, they both like the mother hugged me, but when the father hugged me, I felt him hugging his daughter. Like I did.
Oh, yeah, I feel that.
Oh, I just got so emotional.
Yeah, I see that. But that's an accomplishment. Yeah, you see how much impact you make in general, you know.
That was one of like the most rewarding things ever. Like I just like, I'm sorry, I'm just getting so emotional, but
yeah.
um
That's a beautiful story though. My gosh.
Those type of things that I went through. And then this summer, I didn't get to busk too much this summer. I did it like a couple of times because I just had such a busy summer. Like I had so many opportunities, but which I feel so grateful for.
Yeah.
For like when the spring started. And me and my husband, we took a walk through Central Park and we went to like the old stomping grounds where I used to sing last summer. And I literally started crying when I saw the Bethesda fountain because I started thinking about all the people.
Yeah.
Sorry, so emotional for some reason.
That's okay. That's okay. No, it's a good release. You needed that. Yeah. And that alone just shows the authenticity. You're just here to serve, and you saw the impact it makes. If only people, not to pressure anybody in the audience or who's watching this or listening, but the simplest thing, you know, just to help someone, make them feel better, just to have them feel seen or received. Listen carefully, and just reflect as to, you know, reflect as to like how you could help them feel the space that you're going to be holding for them to feel good.
Yeah.
People are just so enwrapped into what they want, but really you have to maneuver in terms of making other people, you know, have their wishes fulfilled or have them be received or something like that. Just like that simple thought or act, it helps a lot.
It's crazy. Like it wasn't like my intention, you know, like it wasn't that
you never thought you would attract people like that. I know.
Yeah, like
To
I don't know.
Request a cover song. I know.
Yeah, like that. I mean, and it was just so many different other stories that I have, you know, and like it's just like every single one was so unique, but it's like they were there for a reason. I was there for a reason in that moment. Like one person, you know, I don't want to go too into detail because I know it's a lot, but like one person was there and they were like, oh, like the song you just sang, like she was in tears. She's like, my husband passed away and like that was our wedding song, and like beautifully, and it was always like something that connected.
Music heals. Yeah, music heals and your voice heals. I heard it. I was like, oh, I'm like, she's so good. I love your voice. There's a lot of power in it, but it's like, I feel like people will receive what they need to hear, and as well as receive the healing through your voice. I told you about Mercury and Vesta.
Yeah.
And Chiron on top of that. Chiron's the healer.
Yeah.
So I feel like that's the portal. I sound a little juju out there, but it's like gateway for, I mean, of course you're received already on social media and other platforms, but like, I feel like the general consensus of your impact and your energy, it is healing. It's healing, even though you're punchy in some ways, but you're also very healing and receiving in the others. You know, it's just like, it's a beautiful mix, and it definitely shows in your chart, like for sure when I connect with it. But I wanted to ask you this last question. I love to ask all my guests this: what helps you find self-acceptance and empowerment in your journey?
Self-acceptance. Whew, that's one I'm still working on.
Yeah.
I'm still working on that a lot.
We all are.
Yeah. I don't
We
think that
all are.
ever ends, honestly.
Nope.
But Wow, self-acceptance and empowerment. It's hard because I'm like such a humble person, and it's like hard to like talk about myself and like how empowered I feel and how accepting I am of myself, or how much love I have for myself.
Mm-hmm.
Um, because I don't see it that way. Like, I don't know, like, not that I don't love myself. Like, I value myself at some level, of course, but there's always like, I'm always a work in progress, you know?
Yeah.
Um, and I have, you know, I have a lot of bad days and good days. Like, to be honest, even right now, like, I'm going through a little, and I think everyone was, because Mercury retrograde just ended, and you know that was a very
We're
dark period.
picking up speed. Yeah, we're picking up speed again. I know.
Getting back into it, you know, but I went through a little dark phase, which I always have like these, you know, I struggle still with my depression and
We
my
all
anxiety.
ebb and flow. Mm-hmm.
Yeah. And I also have an autoimmune disease. That's a whole nother thing that I struggle with all the time, and excuse me, has shaped me into what I am now, and has changed me physically, emotionally, mentally.
Mm-hmm.
um so I struggle with like, you know, self-love because of that as well. But I, you know, I try to push through it, and I try to be positive, but I go through little phases where I'm not, you know, where I'm hard on myself, and I like, I'm very self-critical, the Virgo in me. I'm
Yeah.
very, we're our worst enemies. So um
Even the Capricorn energy.
yeah,
You're so hard on yourselves. Like Capricorn risings. I've seen
right,
that.
all the earth, I think all the earth signs are like infamous for that, I think. I believe.
Yeah. You're too rooted. You're so rooted into um your old perceived thinking as to who you are, and really just accept who you are and shape your next life stages based on the freedom of you going through that self-acceptance as to who you are, who you were. Does that make
Yeah,
sense?
yeah, 100%. I
Yeah. And you have a lot more self-empowerment, self-acceptance, more than you believe. It's because you continue to serve. That's your
I
self-acceptance.
uh,
That's how I feel.
it makes me, I mean, it goes back to like I said, like I would connect it again back to the busking thing, because like
Mhm.
if at any time in my life I felt empowered, it was when I was doing that.
Yeah.
And I that's when I realized, like, you know, forget about doing covers on like YouTube and this and that. I'm like, the best thing, the best feeling was just singing and live for people that don't know me, who didn't sign up to come see me, and like were able to like, not even the people that didn't come to me. Like, there were some people that didn't even come to me and tell me anything, but I could just tell that they were enjoying what they, you know, not just enjoying like my voice and stuff. It's just like they were sitting there for hours, like listening to me sing the same songs over and over. And I'm like, are they tired of this? Like, they're clearly not. They clear something about it like was making them want to sit there. Like, maybe they just decided to go to the park to do some work, but they were like, we're gonna sit next to this girl because I really like her voice, or like I really love whatever I'm hearing. It's just making me feel good, you
Yeah,
know?
your voice heals. Yeah, you got a powerful throat chakra. That's what it is. I talked a lot about that earlier in this episode. You didn't listen to the intro so much, but the throat chakra is one of the most important energy centers that we have to nurture. It's by speaking up in truth, being fully authentic in our truth, and living the example. Also, honoring our voice, listening carefully, reflective listening, all of those things. It's just receive, observe. That's the throat chakra, you know?
Yeah.
It's so beautiful. Thank you so much for your answer for that.
Yeah.
It was
Hope I
stunning.
I'm like,
No, and it was a good answer because again, self-acceptance takes a very long time to grasp. I have to go through self-acceptance in some ways or forms too. It's just like we all are not perfect as souls. We're not, and that's the reason why we're here. I talk about this many times in this podcast. It's just it takes time to build up that self-acceptance, and we don't need to have all the answers now. And we don't have to be perfect, pristine souls because it's not the fun. It's not, that part isn't fun because it's about the transformation that we undergo. That's the fun part. It's like, oh, I guess I learned that lesson. Oh my God, why did I say this to that person 2 years ago? I have to make things right. Or why did I act that certain way? It's just observing. It's just observing the past actions that you've taken or past experiences that you've lived through, and receive that, undergo that self-acceptance for that part of yourself and part of that life, and therefore you move forward in peace and serenity. That's how I see it. That was so beautiful. And I really appreciate you for joining me today on this podcast, on the Aligned Stars podcast. And where can people find you if they want to connect with you and as well as listen to you sing? Please talk about your credentials here.
So my Instagram is a big one. As you know, I mentioned before, I have TikTok, but I'm still working on it. But I pretty much keep everything consistent. It's Donika Veseli music. That's my Instagram, and then my TikTok is Nika Veseli. And then if you want to find me on YouTube, literally YouTube/Nika Veseli. It's pretty easy. So it's just my name. And then as far as my music as well, you can look me up on Apple Music, Spotify, Amazon. I'm pretty much on every single platform you could think of, and under Nika Veseli. So yeah.
Thank you so much. And I'm going to include this all in the credits and the notes below, but thank you so much for exuding your incredible magnetic and beautiful energy in this space right now. And I really appreciate you being here. And I can't wait to launch this episode. So thank you so much for joining me today. And thank you all for listening to the Align Your Stars podcast and watching, and be sure to tune in next week, and I will see you soon. Be well.
Thank you so much. It was so nice meeting you.